But for now, I've got to tell you that next Friday night's meeting at Gloucester Park will mark the farewell appearance of one of the all-time great harness racing commentators when John Hunt steps to the microphone for the last time. Now, this man has generated more passion into his calls than any other 6 commentators. His style and his flair and love of the sport has shone through in every call since he took over at Gloucester Park in 1989. Now, the tributes have been flowing for many weeks as John's contribution to Western Australian harness racing is acknowledged. Now, just in case you've been living on another planet in recent years, here is a sample of the John Hunt magic.
Get ready. This velodrome of glory, this haven of noble charioteers about to unleash the young titans in honourable combat. The battle is waged and can return fire when rough. Shinzig Buller racing to the lead for Bill and Richie Pollock, you beauty.
The Falcon Strike lifting, so is a Hoka Ace. The Falcon Strike reached the lead. His battle-scarred legs are going to carry him to victory again. It's 2 APCs. Oh, he's a freak.
Fitzpatrick put one on his rump and he said, no problem, boss. He put 4 lengths on the field, and you are now looking at or listening to an absolute freak of nature.
These two are just legends, straight out legends they are. Westburn Grant and Franco Ice. It's a battle royal. It's Joe Fess in front. They're claiming him. They're claiming him. I don't know. I don't know. The Falcon Strike maybe, or Joe Fess. Oh, I'm just not sure.
It's not that they can't fly, it's just that he's got afterburners and he is leaving them quivering in his turbulence. He's the prince of the park, the rising king of the Colosseum, and a 4-legged phenomenon who is now a perfect 10.
John, you've been able to breathe life into many wonderful events at Gloucester Park with great commitment and passion, which has never been more evident than it was the night your old favourite village kid time trialled at 13 years of age.
Yeah, it was amazing, John. He was such a warrior, wasn't he, Willie? And I made a film about him, and the whole story of Village Kid is just the epitome of the romance of the sport. And Bill Horn is such a wonderful character and such grist for the mill for a commentator, being associated with that horse. And that horse, he had a heart as big as himself, and there just seemed to be nothing he couldn't do. And you know, when he smashed the world record by about 3 seconds or something in that time trial, it was just the greatest opportunity for a commentator to unleash that I've ever had.
Well, this is how you did it. This is how you did it.
Village Kid painting an inspiring portrait of equine gallantry. What a horse. He cuts the 3rd quarter in 28.9. This is going to be very special indeed. He's coming to the turn now. About 200 metres left to run. Village Kid with the wind in his hair. He's flat out. 150 to run. Into the straight they come now. Village Kid 144, 45, 46, 47. One last giant effort. One final heart-rending lunge to the line. Go, Willie, go. They split the line in 155. Unbelievable. It's the fastest he's ever gone.
The secret is out. It's a poorly kept one, but she has been in the 2nd chair at Gloucester Park, at the midweeks at least, not on Friday nights, for the last 5 years. And I've been sneaking her in there ever since, so they can sack me now. It's too late. And also she's been co-hosting my sports show in Mandurah, my hometown of Mandurah, for all of that time. And she's got her own segment on racing radio on Friday mornings called The Dogs Are Barking, where she throws out a tip. And the way that works is whatever I'm talking about, every now and then she'll suddenly bark, and you know, if I'm talking about something that's 20 to 1, you'd be amazed how many times it comes in. So she's ended up with her own segment. And the thing is, she's retiring as well with me, and she was a bit miffed about not getting any publicity. So I said to her, today, baby, you're going to get some national coverage. The horse I got the most enjoyment out of was the first great champion I had the pleasure of calling, and I sort of grew up with the camp too. There's another story there, but that was Pure Steel. I've never seen a horse, Tappy, that could find a way to win more than that horse. I think every commentator that called him more than a few times had the displeasure of making the mistake of saying he was gone and then watching him find a way to win. I know I certainly did it, and I heard several other commentators do it, say Pure Steel's gone, or words to that effect, and he would just come again to win. I saw him win a Hunter Cup one night. He was 3 deep, running 6th going backwards at the 400, having made a run around them under the whip and won the race. And that's what he used to do week in, week out. He had no gate speed. He used to sit 3 deep all the way a lot of his races, get up outside the leader and just grind them into the dust. And I've never seen a horse with that much heart in my life, and an absolute phenomenon he was. Yeah.
The most recent Inter Dominion over there, of course, it's always a buzz as a race caller when you have the Inter Dominion in your hometown, but so close to the fairy tale result with a horse that you'd called through most of his career, the Falcon Strike.
Yeah, look, I loved the horse, and I loved him so much I ended up falling in love with one of his owners too, the pretty one. I haven't got a monitor, but I know you've got a photo of her there somewhere, June. I absolutely adore her to bits. But yeah, I did love that horse. He was the last of many great champions that I was able to watch develop in Western Australia, and he was just so brave. He had that. He was the toughest horse that I'd seen in terms of bravery probably since Pure Steel, but he just probably lacked quite that amount of ability. And I will remember for all of time that final. While I wanted him to win, I was very pleased for the connections of J Fest too. Who actually flew me to Sydney a couple of weeks later to call a couple of races at Harold Park, and he was a lovely horse. But I actually looked at the blow up of that print, and the winning margin was officially 0.6 or 0.4 of a centimetre. And if it had been in the old days, it would have been a dead heat, of course. So they were pretty upset about not getting the photo, I can tell you, the camp back here.
John, it's not widely known that had it not been for a chronic back injury in your mid-teens, you would have reached a pretty high level in the game of tennis. In fact, you did reach a fairly high standard in the under-19 category in your home state. And you were showing great promise at that stage of your life.
Tennis was going to be my life, John, and becoming a race commentator was really just a hobby that I used to do. I used to call races off the newspaper onto tapes. I remember you telling me the story of you calling paddle sticks going down the stream or something. That's how you learned. Or I learned calling off newspapers in the car on the way to coaching kids tennis, and. I never really thought about becoming a race commentator per se, even though I enjoyed having the fun of doing that. And that inspiration, by the way, came from listening to guys like yourself and Bert Bryant and Ken Howard and that. I used to love taping. I used to hold a microphone in front of the radio and tape those calls. And it made me want to do it, but at the same time I was going to be a tennis player. That was going to be my life. And when I lost that, all of a sudden the hobby became a possibility, and I just thought one day I'd ask Trevor Jenkins about it, because I spotted him in the bookies ring at the races at Ascot, and that was the first day. And here I'm at Ascot again. It's the last day.
If he wasn't the best I've seen, he was certainly the most influential to me as far as at the time I was getting into harness racing, Pro Chevalier.
Oh, look, speaking of retiring too young, there's a horse that I think if he'd raced another couple of years would have been rated, you know, in everybody's eye. Well, I suppose he still is, but he did in a short space of time something quite remarkable. I mean, he probably only had 40 or 50 or 60 starts. I haven't got the thing in front of me, but he was just fantastic. And I'll never forget the night he beat Village Kid in a pacing cup, and he won a Miracle Mile, he won a New Zealand Cup, I think he won a Victoria Cup. He was just an extraordinary horse, cost $5,000 as a yearling, and was a true champion. And can I just say, if I leave one legacy as a commentator, I want it to be this, that I tried to capture the soul and the essence of the character of the horse. And no matter how many times they introduce new forms of betting or new restaurants or new forms of entertainment at the track, remember that that is the main thing that draws you to the races. It is the character of the horse. And I hope whoever takes over from me, and I hope the industry remembers that is the thing that should be promoted most. I just feel like the sport is getting a little over-clinical in its presentation, and must not forget the romance and the glory that draws us to it in the first place, as it did me, listening to guys like John Tapp.
John, there'll be a Sky Channel camera following you around at Gloucester Park next Friday night. We're going to capture all of the emotion.